Hey guys, welcome into this segment from our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. In order to get the full podcast, go down to the description, go to Blog Talk Radio / The Onside Kick to download the full thing. Enjoy, everybody.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them knees.
And Mark, I gotta say it before I give everything, happy podcast anniversary.
That's right. We're here, and we are, what, 4?
We
4 years old now? This podcast is in its 4th year. I was actually going to
officially look it up. But yeah, we're pretty old.
Because it was the 49ers versus the Ravens.
What day are we really going off of, though?
It's just the day after the Super Bowl, basically, right?
But I'm saying, like, there was the time where
the Skype podcast
that
doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And there was this really bad. It wasn't necessarily that it was a bad podcast. It was just bad quality. We tried to do the podcast over Skype.
Oh, it was the worst. That was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That date that we released it was January 29th, 2013.
So that was like podcast 0. For this iteration of the Onside Kick, because the Onside Kick existed before me.
Just for fun, you want to know what we talked about in that podcast?
Pro Bowl probably came up.
We did. We talked about the New Orleans Pelicans, because that's when they switched over to the Pels.
We used to talk about basketball sometimes.
We talked about maybe the Kings moving to Seattle. We talked about Rajon Rondo and his injury. We talked about who's the best team in the Western Conference, an NBA midseason wrap-up, the Pro Bowl for the NFL, and then NFL MVP predictions.
That was a jam-packed show.
And we actually recorded it on January 27th, 2012.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2013. I don't know why it says 2012. 2013.
That's podcast 0 of this iteration, like I said, of this era.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I guess I don't know. We're not going to bother. But then really it started with the Super Bowl. And that was, if I remember right, that was the 49ers Ravens Super Bowl.
Another reason why we always use the Super Bowl is when me, Brandon, and Dave, this was the pre-Mark Weber days here at the Onside Kick.
The dark ages, as some like to say.
Our first podcast for the Onside Kick with me, Brandon, and Dave was after the second giant Patriots Super Bowl, the week after they lost.
Speaking of Super Bowls, I do want to say that right now my laptop is just playing highlights from the Super Bowl, and it's kind of great.
It was a pretty good Super Bowl, and I mean that's what. Well, let's start with that. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. We're going to look at the draft. We're going to look at the Cardinals specifically when it comes to the draft. We're going to look at Jimmy Garoppolo. Should he get traded? Where will he go? And then we have three separate topics all pertaining to the Super Bowl.
It's Jimmy Garoppolo.
That Garoppolo kid. We're going to look at Matt Ryan. We're going to look at the greatest dynasties of all time. And then we're going to look at really the first question, and I'll ask it to you, Mark. And I'm asking it to you because you have a different opinion than I do. Mm-hmm. Was this the greatest Super Bowl of all time?
No, it was not. Here's my thing. And when I woke up this morning, I saw tweets. You know, I still get emails from Bleacher Report, even though I never read them. But I'll open them and I'll read the headlines because I'm curious to see what they're saying, which you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't just read headlines. But they told me that this was the greatest
fake news,
right? They told me that this was the greatest Super Bowl there. The radio station on my way to day job told me that it was the greatest one. And they just said it was the greatest because it went to overtime. I thought that was really dumb. That was a dumb reason. But everyone was seeming to say that this was the greatest one. And I just think that we're all on this high because it was such a great ending. And someone did say the point, and I give them credit, that it's not about the game. It's about the end of a game. You know, and I actually kind of disagree with that when we're talking about the best Super Bowl of all time. I disagree with that. This was the greatest comeback. There is no doubt about that. This is probably the greatest fourth quarter in a Super Bowl. I'll even give you the greatest second half of a Super Bowl. But really what this was one quarter of pure dominance by one team, and then the other quarter of pure dominance by the other team. And it just happened to lead into the greatest comeback. And I think that people are getting a little bit, misty-eyed or rose-colored here of just saying that it's historic because of the records that the Patriots set, Tom Brady set, Bill Belichick, and the what do you call it? The overtime. But really, I mean, comeback, yes, I have seen some better Super Bowls in my days.
Well, and I mean, I'm kind of scrolling through them right now, and even the first two Patriots Super Bowls against the Panthers and the Rams, those were last-second field goals. I mean, even the one against the Eagles was a 3-point victory. Where it was last second. And I know what everyone's saying, but Ricky, they won in overtime on a go-ahead touchdown, and to me, I think this is...
I'm not trying to dispute that is great. I'm just saying that you got to look at the whole game. You can't just look at the last quarter.
And it really to me depends on what you think greatness is. Is it a entire game where it's neck and neck and it's going back and forth, or is it just a, hey, you know what? This team was down. We thought they were down and out, and they came back and won it. And the one thing that I kind of think of is, and I thought about this last night, was think about, I'm going to say, either the Cavs or the Cubs this year. Because really, this calendar year of sports, I'm going to go ahead and say this. This has been the best. I'll go ahead and say this on record. This has been the best calendar year. If we started with last year's March Madness championship, best calendar year of sports championships. Villanova over North Carolina, the buzzer beaters back-to-back. Game-winning shot on one end, buzzer beater on the other. Then you get the Cavs coming back from 3-1. Then you get the Cubs winning their first World Series in 108 years, the way they did it, coming back 3-1. Then you got Clemson and them beating a juggernaut in Alabama. And then you get the Super Bowl, the best, I'm going to say the best comeback in Super Bowl history for sure. And the thing that I thought of was compared to a series. If this game was an entire series, basically wouldn't the 26-3 lead be very similar to a 3-1 lead in a series?
Well, it was a 20. Well, at halftime, it was 21-3.
Then 21-3, even when it was 26-3,
28-3.
Wouldn't that be close to a 3-1 lead? Like, I know it's different because one's a game and one's a series, but
no,
still,
I get what you're saying. I mean, if you
back.
divide 21 by 7, you get 3, and then divide 3 by 3, you get 1. So it's a 3-1 lead that they blew. They blew a 3-1 lead. Someone's already saying it in the comment section. I'm just confirming.
Someone actually sent that to us after the game. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think that this follows that pattern really well. And I loved this Super Bowl. I had a lot of fun watching it. I had fun poking Sean a little bit through text.
I had the best time being in the same. Like, you guys, if you didn't see the MVP Snapchats, go check out the reaction video. It's not safe for work. I'll tell you that right away. But yeah, no, it was a fun Super Bowl to just watch his.
But at the same time, a lot of people did tune out.
Well, and that's
and I think that's why I can't say greatest Super Bowl of all time, because people turned it off.
You know, I was talking to Sean about this in the car. After it was over, I was about to put it in my top 5. But I mean, after thinking, and for me, how it goes is I start my Super Bowl. When I say greatest Super Bowl of all time, I start with Super Bowl XXX2 in 1998, the Denver Green Bay Super Bowl, because that's the first Super Bowl I ever watched.
Nostalgia.
The first one I ever went to, like an actual Super Bowl party, was the Rams-Titans. And for me, you look at those games. You look at the 98 Super Bowl, 31-24 game, and that was a game that was close throughout. No one had a ridiculous lead in that one. The next year, it was 34-19, but up going into the fourth quarter, it was only 17-6 in favor of John Elway and the Broncos. And then, to me, and this is complete nostalgia, my favorite Super Bowl is the one that happened in 2000, the one where Dyson's so close to reaching, he's like this, and he's 1 inch short when the Rams beat the Titans. To me, that is the best Super Bowl, because that was one where it was after quarter one, 3-0 Rams. Then it was 9-0 going into half. Going into the fourth, it was, if my math serves me correct, it was 16-6, and then it ended up being 23-16.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that, there's any type of criteria that you check things off to figure out which one's the best one. It's also subjective. Everyone picks whatever they want. Personally, this isn't even the best Patriots Super Bowl win, I think. Let's go back to 2015 against the Seahawks. That's my personal favorite Patriots win, and that might be my personal favorite Super Bowl, just because that was a game where you really did have, much like this one, the two best teams in the NFL going at each other. It was neck and neck. These teams were so evenly matched. And then after being tied at halftime, the Seahawks come in and they put up 10. And it's like, okay, they won. We know they win. But Tom Brady, just like he did last night, we're recording this on Monday, came back and shut it down. And even though this was the greatest comeback and the greatest fourth quarter of all time from yesterday's Super Bowl Lee, but I would rather, if I was going to rank them, Malcolm Butler's interception on the goal line is better than just the touchdown pass in overtime.
And the one thing, and I want to say this because I know people in the comment section are saying this already, but we're not saying, it's not the best, because we're not ragging on the Patriots.
No. I just said my favorite Super Bowl is a Patriots Super Bowl.
And I kind of feel like in the back of my head, we're going to get that comment that it's like, you guys just don't like the Patriots, you don't like Tom Brady. No, but it's one of those things where I look at my time, like from 1998 until now, we've had close Super Bowls, 31-24 in 98, 34-19 in 99, 23-16. Then the 2002 Super Bowl with the Patriots, it was 2017. Then the Carolina and the Philadelphia Super Bowls for them, also, we've got 23-29, 3 points, 24-21, 3 points. We've got, after that, we had two kind of, to me, it was like, the stinkers with the Pittsburgh, Seattle, and then Indy, Chicago. The Super Bowl never happened to Mark over there. But then right away, 3-point victory and the David Tyree catch. Then we've got the 27-23 one with the Cardinals. And I mean, even the Baltimore 49er one was good. The second Giant Patriot one was good.
Although Baltimore 49er probably falls in the same category as Super Bowl Lee. Exciting second half.
It was one of those ones where we thought it was one of those where, yes, Torrey Smith, like the power went out, then Torrey Smith started it right away. Boom, with that. And it's like, it's over. It's a Ravens Super Bowl win. And then they come back. We also had a close one, like you said, between the Patriots and the Seahawks, with a few kind of stinkers, little clunkers in there. With no one's saying that Tampa Bay Oakland is their favorite Super Bowl, unless you're a Buccaneer fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be close to be the best. I just think that...
You're going to say Seattle and Denver's your favorite Super Bowl?
Right.
The one that was in New York?
I mean, if you love Seattle...
The one with Peyton, the ball going right over his head?
You know what, I will say, though, that it did feel good watching Peyton get destroyed.
Because the tweet that you said was Super Bowl Lee was the greatest comeback of all time, but not the greatest Super Bowl ever. But the greatest Super Bowl ever, let's calm down.
Exactly. And I think there's no reason why people can't enjoy this. Ollie, if someone wants to say it's one of their favorites, if they want to say it's in the top 5, I have zero issue with that. I just think that we all got to come off the high a little bit from last night and really look at the facts of what the Super Bowl was, which was 1 quarter of dominance by the Falcons, then the greatest comeback of all time. And the quarter of dominance by the Falcons wasn't that exciting for anybody who's not a Falcons fan or who doesn't hate the Patriots. So I don't know. It's just we like to use hyperbole so much in the social media world and on the internet. And sometimes I think we all just need to relax a little bit.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that segment from the Onside Kick. If you think the fun stops there, you're wrong, because click the video right over here. What are you thinking? Come on, click it. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. Bye, everybody.